Good afternoon, everybody. Paul Greene-Dennis here. This was something that has been on my mind for a bit. And as you can see on the title, I don't know if anybody can see on the title, it says, if I agree with someone who said something pro my enemies, does that make me a bad guy? And I'm gonna try. I struggled so hard how to frame this, but I'm gonna try my best anyway to describe it. I was always someone who said, and I still do to a good deal, but I'm trying my best. If I would never agree with anything my enemies ever said, ever. And I was just like, and I know it's been said to me more than a few times, what if they're right about something? It doesn't matter. I'm like, yeah, I'll never do that. I'm like, and I just kept on thinking to myself, right now in this moment, for the past 2, 3 years, I'm like, I'm eating so much crow because of it. Because I'm like, there's just some things that when people who do not align with you, if they say something that's right, it's right. It's right. They're right. And I described it, what I was going through, as like siege mentality. You must agree with everything that I agree with, or we're going to have a problem. Now, you may say, that's just your problem. How does that apply to everybody else here? The reason I brought this type, I made this about that point. If I agree with someone who says something pro enemies, does that make me a bad guy? It's more so true about not just with the whole Middle East conflict. It's especially true with anything dealing with Russia, especially the Russia-Ukraine war. I reposted something. Basically, it's what from Candace Owens' trip from Russia. And she basically said, we've been lied to about everything in Russia from the West. We have been lied to. They have lied to us. And she went to Russia herself. She saw things about Russia. She went to Russia herself. Now, again, do I agree with 95, 6% of things Candace is about? No. This is about, just because you agree with something she said or one thing, it's not an endorsement. She just happens to be right. And she was right about, we're being lied to about Russia from corporate media. She's right. Because if we're supposed to be pro-Ukraine, are you telling me I'm supposed to be pro-Banderite Nazis that conscript their own citizens who do not want to fight this war? Are you telling me I'm supposed to be pro a leader in Zelensky who worships Nazi figures? Is that what you're telling me? Am I supposed to be pro a regime that was installed because the U.S. and Britain and NATO effectively couped their democratically elected leader in 2014, the Maidan coup, and installed an ultra-nationalist neo-Nazi regime effectively? No. But then that means you side with Putin on this conflict. Actually, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I mean, how many times, I think it was the Maidan, how many times is he going to negotiate? Like, yo, can we not escalate these conflicts, please? How many times is he going to do that? And then when the Donbass region, I think, separated itself to be their own state from Ukraine, from the rest of Ukraine, and then the nationalists go in there and just straight up shell and genocide the Russian-speaking Ukrainians. Yeah, I ain't getting down with that. Yeah, we're not getting down with that. And then you're telling us Putin is evil, Putin is a thug. Tell that to Ibrahim Traore in Burkina Faso. Tell that to him. Tell that to the Cubans who got the oil shipment from Russia. Tell that to them. But yeah. And I think what makes this crazy, you know what? I'm sorry. I really did not want to do this, but I think I'm going to have to do it. I think I'm going to have to do it. I think I'm going to have to do it. Think I'm going to have to do it. Hold on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. All right. Let's try this again. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. I know you can do it. Come on. I know you can do it. Come on. I know you can do it. Damn it. Damn it. All right. Let's try this again. Try this again. Bye-bye. Come on, come on. Come on. Alright. Maybe I shouldn't be. Wait. Exit page. Reload. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. This is ridiculous. All right. All right. My computer's being stupid, so I'll have to do it through here. I'll have to do it through here. All right. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. All right. All right. Let's try this again. All right. Oh boy. Okay. This is not, my computer's not working with me right now too much, but yeah, basically, that post was one example I made that someone had a serious objection saying Putin is evil. I'm like, but he's fighting off against Banderite Nazis in Ukraine. He's evil. And I didn't get a reason as to why he's evil. It's just, I don't know, just pro-Ukraine and F Putin no matter what. I'm like, that's ridiculous. I don't think that can ever work in politics in general. And another time is when I kept on posting a few things saying like, Israel can go to hell. Literally, can go to hell. That's anti-Semitic. I'm like, well, I'm sorry. If you're genociding a whole bunch of Palestinians and you're doing the ethnic cleansing in Lebanon, that actually is anti-Semitic because you're killing Semites. And also, Israel destroyed, leveled a synagogue in Iran. But don't even get me started. And it's just one of those, if you side with Hezbollah, something's wrong with you. Something must be wrong with me because that's resistance. And quite frankly, I'm on the side of anybody who opposes apartheid and genocide. And if Hezbollah is the one doing the fighting and they're fending them off, kudos. Because, quite frankly, that's a cancer that needs to be lanced off in the Middle East. But, hey. And quite frankly, I don't agree with most of Thomas Massey's domestic economic politics, but if you're going to tell me, hey, you have some of the best foreign policy, like stop funding completely cut off all funding of aid for all foreign wars, and to, Israel. Yeah, you got that right. And especially when it comes to the Epstein files, he was the main driving force behind that. I'm gonna get down with that. I'm gonna get down with that. Again, not gonna endorse him, but his foreign policy he's more right about. And how dare you agree with Candace Owens or something like that? I'm sorry, but if you're right about something, you're right. You're right. I will not have this. You cannot have this. This is not allowed. That's some very siege mentality stuff. That's almost, if anything, that sounds very cult of personality-ish. You're not allowed to. If you're on my side, you're not allowed to have differing opinions about someone who I vehemently disagree with. Now, that also depends on in context, but come on. But if you're saying, how dare you say anything good about Russia? If they're doing good shit and they've been more on the right side of history, lest we not forget with Russia, and a couple things that I've learned, we don't get the Emmett Till case, the publicity that it gets without the Soviet Union. And they made us look bad. And you know what? I'm all for you looking bad. Because you're on the wrong side of history. You deserve to look bad. Especially when it comes to civil rights And it took a foreign country to get that done. The Emmett Till case, I mean. You deserve to look bad. Now, again, you got that. If you're delivering oil to Cuba because of a blockade imposed by the U.S. regime, are you still evil? If you're working win-win cooperation with Burkina Faso, are you really evil? Are you still evil? And if you're fighting off Banderite Nazis in Ukraine, and you're also delivering, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, if you're delivering arms to Iran, are you still evil? Are you still evil? Are you still evil? I'll wait. Are you still evil? Maybe we need to start to look at things not from our perspective as Americans, from the media. Maybe we need to start looking at countries' media from other countries' perspectives to start to really see where things are. Maybe we really need to. Especially, I know I don't want to say this, but I have to say this. I love y'all. But some of you white liberals have a very siege mentality. You are not allowed to say anything pro-Russia, pro-North Korea. We can agree, but as soon as you start saying something like that, you're not allowed to. That's bad. Bad, bad, bad. That's not socialism. No, actually what you're doing right there, if I didn't know any better, not allowed to not allowed to say anything pro of other countries because they're our enemies. And you must get down with the get down. You must agree with us no matter what, even if we provide proof of other reasons why be pro other countries. Not that, again, we can learn from these other countries, but you can't do that if you're just got this tight wound. You are not allowed to say anything pro these other countries when it's a fact. If anything, that sounds right-wingish. That's cult of personality. That's ridiculous. Are any of these leaders perfect? No. No, they're not. But to say you're not allowed to say anything positive about, I don't know, North Korea or Putin, and you'll be slandered as a bad guy, or it's like something's wrong with you, like, time out. If I gave you a few things that are proof, or if I'm presenting proof and you're just saying you're just not allowed to, that's very cult of personality-ish. That's like siege mentality. You must. Yeah, it's just craziness. It's just madness. That's madness. Which wouldn't be happening if this was Kamala. Kamala and Joe Biden were committing a genocide. 2 genocides. Because you funded one with by funding these neo-Nazis in Ukraine. I feel bad for the citizens who were under that regime, being forced to fight, being sent off to the front lines and being conscripted. It's fucking insane. fucking insane. How dare you? Putin's still evil. Hey, if that doesn't get through to you, I don't know what will. The level of propaganda is so insane that if you say anything pro, I'm done. That's all I had to say. I had to get that off my chest, but yeah. Shouldn't be bullied if I take something of a different opinion. Different opinion or something. That doesn't make you a bad guy. Depending on what it is, kind of doesn't make you a bad guy. But yeah. That's all. I had to get that off. I'll see you on the next stream.